All right, let's dive into a supplement that's making some serious waves in the fitness world, Alpha-GPC. The big claim? That it boosts the connection between your brain and your muscles. So, is it a genuine game changer, or is it just another bottle of hype? Well, let's find out. I absolutely love this analogy because it just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. You can spend years building this incredible engine, strong, powerful, well-trained muscles, but if the signal telling them what to do is slow and clunky, you're just not going to get the performance you've worked for. And that's exactly where Alpha-GPC comes into the picture. So, the idea we're really digging into here is something called neural drive. The easiest way to think about it is this. Your muscles are the hardware, but your neural drive, that's the software. It's that electrical signal your brain zaps down your spine to make your muscles contract with speed and force. The goal here is to upgrade that signal from that awful, screechy dial-up sound to lightning-fast fiber optic speed. And that is the absolute key difference. Most supplements we take, creatine, protein, they're all about building and fueling the muscle tissue itself. They're hardware upgrades. Alpha-GPC is playing a totally different game. It's a special kind of choline compound designed to make that signal better, cleaner, and faster by boosting a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which is the absolute key player for muscle contraction and even mental focus. So, what does upgrading your body's software actually get you in the real world? Well, take a look at this number. We are talking about a potential 14% increase in isometric bench press force. Yeah, you heard me right. That is a serious number, and it's the kind of thing that makes anyone who lifts weights sit up and pay very close attention. This isn't just about feeling focused. This is about a measurable jump in strength. But hey, a huge claim like that needs some serious proof to back it up, right? So let's do this. Let's walk through the 3 key studies that really built the reputation for Alpha-GPC. We're going to build the case piece by piece. Let's start by rewinding the clock to 2008, to a study by a Dr. Ziegenfuss. Now, it was a really small study, just 7 guys. But what they found, well, it was absolutely shocking, and it's what put Alpha-GPC on the map. Okay, so what did they find that was so crazy? Get this. Just 90 minutes after taking a 600 milligram dose, these subjects' growth hormone levels shot up by a factor of 44. Look at that, not double, not 10 times, 44 times their baseline level. It was a completely unheard of response. But hold on, before you run out and buy a case, we need some serious context here. This is a very short-lived, temporary spike. It is not the same as taking actual growth hormone, and it's not going to pack on muscle by itself. Think of it more like a quick boost for your body's internal environment, not some kind of magic muscle-building pill. So, that growth hormone thing is interesting, for sure. But the real question is, does it actually make you stronger over time? A 2015 study decided to find out. They wanted to see if taking Alpha-GPC for a whole week would lead to real, measurable power gains. And here's what they found. After just 6 days, participants saw a 3% increase in their lower body strength. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 3%? That's it? But listen, for anyone who trains seriously, you know that a 3% jump on your squat is a massive win. Exactly, that's the bottom line. That little 3% is so often the difference between hitting a new personal record you've been grinding for and getting stuck halfway up. It's a real, tangible improvement when it matters most. All right, on to our 3rd key study. This time in 2017, researchers looked at Alpha-GPC not just for raw strength, but for speed, how fast you can actually move the weight. And what they discovered added a really interesting twist to the whole story. This is where it gets a little weird, in a good way. They found that a lower dose, 250 milligrams, was actually better for improving speed than a higher dose. And this is so important because it proves that with supplements, and especially brain-focused ones like this, more is not always better. You have to match the dose to what you're trying to achieve. Okay, the performance benefits are looking pretty compelling, but now we have to pivot and talk about the risks. We have to address the big, scary elephant in the room. And honestly, this is the single most important question you can ask. A few extra pounds on the bar means absolutely nothing if it's messing with your long-term health. So let's get right into it. So in 2021, this massive study dropped and it sent shockwaves everywhere. It looked at data from 12 million people over 10 years. and it found that folks who regularly used choline supplements had a staggering 46% higher risk of having a stroke. A number like that, you just can't ignore it. So what's actually going on here? Well, the main bad guy in this story seems to be a compound called TMAO. See, certain bacteria in your gut can turn some forms of choline into TMAO, and a lot of research has linked high levels of TMAO to heart and blood vessel problems. That seems to be the pathway we need to worry about. But, and this is a really big but, it turns out not all choline is created equal. The big scary study didn't separate the different types, and other research suggests that the cheap stuff, like choline bitartrate, is what really causes that big TMAO spike. Alpha-GPC, on the other hand, seems to act more like a cleaner fuel. It gets metabolized differently and doesn't appear to cause that same dangerous rise in TMAO. Now, if you're still a little concerned about TMAO, here's a cool little pro tip for you. Garlic. It contains a compound called allicin, which has been shown to block the enzyme your gut bacteria use to make TMAO in the first place. It's a pretty simple way to add another layer of protection.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a second, just to keep things honest. Remember those exciting performance studies we talked about? Well, they were tiny. We're talking 7 to 13 people. With a group that small, the results might not apply to everybody. And we also have to point out that some of this research is funded by companies that actually sell this stuff. That doesn't mean the results are wrong, but it's part of the full picture we have to consider.
And all of this really brings us to the most crucial point. Alpha-GPC is not the cake. It's not a replacement for busting your butt in the gym, eating right, and getting enough sleep. At its very best, it's the cherry on top. It's a tool you can use for a small edge, not the foundation of your success. So, after weighing all the pros, the cons, and the kind of complicated stuff in the middle, what's the final verdict? If you do decide you want to try it, how can you use it smartly and safely?
Okay, here's the practical game plan. For the dose, the sweet spot in the studies is between 300 and 600 milligrams. For timing, you want to take it about 45 to 60 minutes before you train. And I really wouldn't use this every single day. Save it for when you need it most, when you're going for a new PR, on a day you're focused on speed, or maybe on those days where you just feel mentally fried and need that extra kick.
And that really brings us to the final question, and this is one only you can answer for yourself. After hearing everything, you have to decide, is that potential 3% edge, that little boost on your most important training days, worth navigating the potential risks we talked about? The choice is all yours.